Hey, you think I don't know about YouTube? Well, I do. With today's story, you laugh, you learn, and you remember where you come from and recognize where you are going. The elders say, what the old sees while sitting, a young cannot see even from the top of a tree. So come now, listen well and let the story speak to your spirit.
In the sun-scorched Sahel of Mali, where the earth cracks like old leather and heat shimmers above the savannah like restless spirits, there stood a baobab tree so ancient that griots said it had watched the first villages rise from dust. Its trunk was wide enough that 10 men with joined hands could not fully encircle it, and its bark bore carvings from generations, names of lovers, oaths of warriors, prayers whispered by women seeking children. The villagers of Kuli called it Gerebantigi, the elder who remembers. They believed its roots drank secrets, its branches held blessings, and its hollow trunk stored the wisdom of all who had ever leaned against it. At the edge of Kuli lived Kato, a humble farmer with arms strong from tilling stubborn earth and a heart as gentle as the evening breeze that rolled down from the Bandiagara cliffs. His wife Nuru was the kind of beauty that did not shout but glowed. She carried herself softly like a calabash filled to the brim but never spilling. Her eyes held kindness with a depth that made strangers confide in her without knowing why. Her laughter was like the soft beating of balafon keys. But even gentle hearts attract storm clouds. For 11 harvests, Nuru's womb remained silent. At first, villagers encouraged them, Allah Kadi, may God give. Then, be patient. Even the stubborn seed breaks when the rains are right. But years bent patience like a dry reed. Gossip sharpened. Women whispered as Nuru passed. Men clapped Kato on the shoulder and said, a tree with no fruit is used for firewood. Take another wife. Even his mother, Yakadiatu, a stern woman whose voice always carried the final word, pressed him again and again. My son, a man's legacy is his children. Do not let love blind you. Yet, Kato answered the same each time, his voice calm but firm. I did not marry a womb, I married a woman. Still, pressure coils like a python. Even the righteous feel its squeeze. The baobab was the couple's refuge. Every dawn, before the sun broke free from the horizon, Kato carried a small knife to the baobab and carved a tiny line into its bark. Sometimes it was a dot, sometimes the curve of a letter, sometimes the symbol of a calabash. Each mark a piece of Nuru's name. When villagers mocked him for wounding the sacred tree, he responded without anger. The tree does not forget the hands that watered it. He would then press his forehead to the warm bark and whisper, let my love be remembered, even if the world forgets it. Nuru pretended not to know, though she often watched him from their doorway, her chest tightening with gratitude and ache. Love is sweetest when undeserved, yet he gave it freely.
Seasons passed. Rains became unpredictable. The elders said the spirits of the land were restless. Women carried water from the Niger with cracked hands. Men dug deeper and deeper wells. Millet stalks wilted before reaching knee height. Even the donkeys brayed with dry throats. Kule slipped into drought. One evening, As the sky reddened like burning copper, a messenger ran into the village carrying the news that nearby wells had turned to mud. Panic rippled. Fields crisped. Children cried from thirst. Even the wise Baobab shed leaves it had kept for centuries. Nuru felt the heaviness creep into her bones. She knew what the drought meant. Renewed accusations. People looked for scapegoats in hard times, and barren women often bore the blame. That night, she overheard other women muttering at the communal well. Perhaps her spirit blocks the rain. Has she given even one child to the ancestors? They did not bother lowering their voices. Nuru returned home with eyes stinging, but not from dust. Kato found her sitting by the grinding stone, hands still, gaze distant. He sat beside her, brushing millet chaff from her cheek. "They are speaking again, aren't they?" he asked softly. "It is not their words that hurt. It is that the earth echoes them." Kato took her hands. "Nuru, remember the saying of our fathers, even the shadow of the baobab does not fall the same way twice. Seasons change, so will our feet." But her smile was faint, fragile like cracked clay. That night, when the village slept and moonlight painted silver on the dusty earth, Nuru slept out of their hut and walked toward the ancient baobab. The wind was cool and carried the far-off drumming from tam-tams from a distant festival. She wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders. The baobab stood like an old guardian in the dark, its branches black against the moon. Nuru touched its bark, still warm with the sun's memory. She felt the grooves Kato had carved, pieces of her name, his devotion etched into living wood. Kneeling, she pressed her forehead to the earth. She whispered not to the spirits, not to the ancestors, but to the God who sees the unseen. "Father of the rains, owner of tomorrow," she prayed, voice trembling. "If you still hear my voice, let mercy fall again, not for me alone, but for this village, for my husband who has carried my shame like a shield. Let the world know he chose well." A breeze stirred. The baobab's branches rustled softly as though clearing its throat to speak. Then, a single drop of water landed on her hand. Nuru gasped, looked up. Another drop, then another. But the sky was clear. A soft pattering began, rain light, delicate and glowing, as though the drops carried their own inner fire. They fell not from clouds, but from the very air, gathering over her like a blessing. She stood slowly, stunned. The rain concentrated around her, spreading outward in a widening circle. It shimmered in gold tones, trickling down the baobab's trunk, soaking into the parched soil. Nuru's shawl darkened with moisture. Then she saw it. Beyond the glow, at the edge of the village, the earth remained dry. The miracle rain fell only around their home, their fields, their baobab. She stumbled backward, overwhelmed, tears mingling with the glowing drops. "Kato," she whispered, and ran toward their huts. Kato awoke to the sound of raindrops humming against the roof like soft drums. He bolted upright. Rain? But the sky! He rushed outside. What he saw made him drop to his knees. The field behind their home was drinking in golden rain, while the rest of the night lay untouched. Water pooled around their millet roots, soaking dead soil back to life. The baobab, illuminated in shimmering rainfall, looked like a towering spirit come to bless them. Nuru stood trembling in the glow. Kato rose slowly, walked to her and touched her rain-warmed cheek. "What did you ask for?" "Mercy and a sign." Before he could speak, the rain wrapped around them like a soft cloak, spreading warmth through their bodies. A strange peace settled in them, a knowing, a certainty without explanation. They did not speak of it again, for some miracles lose power under too many words. As weeks passed, villagers whispered again, but now in awe. "Have you seen their field? Their crops are green while ours crumble. Perhaps the Baobab favors them, or perhaps Nuru carries a secret." That last comment slithered like a viper. Suspicion and envy breed faster than millet. Yakadiatu confronted her son. "What game is this? Did Nuru use charms? Did she seek hidden spirits?" Kato met her gaze calmly. "Rain fell, that is all." Her mother spat into the dust. Rain does not choose favorites. But the Baobab had. And soon it chose again. Months later, at dusk, Nuru felt a strange pulling in her belly. Not pain, but pressure, like a drum beat syncing with her heartbeat. She gripped the doorway, breath quickening. "Kato," she whispered. He ran to her, catching her before she collapsed. "Nuru, what is it?" She looked into his eyes and her voice was barely a breath. "It is time." Neighbors rushed to help as word spread, but Nuru insisted she be taken to the Baobab. She said under its shade, that is where the promise began. So they carried her to the ancient tree, placing mats beneath its broad trunk. The air thickened with anticipation. Women sang birthing songs, low, rhythmic, steady like heartbeat drums. The sky deepened into blue dusk. Then the wind stirred. Leaves rustled overhead. The air grew warm and glowed faintly. As Nuru cried out, pushing with all her strength, a soft rain began to fall, only beneath the Baobab. It glistened like before, golden and warm, bathing her skin. With a final cry, she brought forth her first child, a wailing daughter with strong lungs and dark, bright eyes. The midwife lifted the child and declared, "This one shall be called Tumaini, hope." But before joy could settle, Nuru cried out again. Another wave of pain rippled through her. "Another," the midwife gasped. Moments later, another child slipped into waiting hands. A boy, silent at first, then releasing a soft bubbling cry that sounded almost like raindrops hitting water. "This one," she murmured with trembling awe, "shall be called Mvua, rain." The golden shower ceased just as they were wrapped in cloth. The twins slept peacefully, faces glowing with a quiet light. Kato held them as though the world itself had been reborn. Behind him, villagers knelt in stunned silence. Even those who had mocked Nuru before now bowed their heads, murmuring prayers.
Yakadiatu approached last. Kneeling at Nuru's side, her voice broke. "Forgive me, child. The seed that takes longest to sprout often becomes the tallest tree." Nuru, exhausted but radiant, touched her mother-in-law's cheek. "A broken pot still carries water if love mends it." Forgiveness softened the air. But blessings do not blare without summoning shadows. In the months that followed, Tumani and Mvua grew fast, too fast. By their third month, they recognized people, reached for objects, and laughed with full-bodied joy. At 6 months, they crawled with startling speed. At 9 months, they pulled themselves upright, wobbling but determined. Some villagers marveled, Others whispered darkly, "Are they even human? Rain children, Baobab spirits. Children of a drought miracle, could be omen or curse. Blessings sometimes come with a shadow." One man in particular let fear twist into greed, Jalo, Kato's cousin. Jalo had long resented Kato's good name. He believed the miracle rain made Kato too proud, too blessed. People came to Kato for advice, for blessings, for disputes once brought to Jalo's father. Power shifting pained him. So he fanned the flames of suspicion. He whispered to elders, children born in strange rain might not be children at all. He warned mothers, keep your little ones away. Baobab children hunger for destinies not their own. He told the chief, miracles can be tricks dressed in golden water. Eventually, his words coiled into action. One night, Jalo gathered a few men whose jealousy was easily purchased. We shall expose them, he said. If they are spirit children, the village must be protected. If they are merely human, what harm in a test?
And the crops? One man asked quietly. Without Kato's rainfall, would our millet stand? Fear blinds you, Jalo snapped. The Baobab gives power to those bold enough to seize it. So they crept toward Kato's home under the cover of night. Inside, Nuru rocked the twins while Kato slept. She hummed a lullaby soft as morning light. Rain that falls in secret places, hope that rises from dry earth. Walk gently, little ones, for the world is learning your names. Then she heard a crunch, a footstep, then another. Her heart tightened. She blew out the lamp. The door creaked open. A silhouette loomed. Nuru, Jalo whispered, come outside, now. She held her children tighter. What do you want? He said, we want proof of what you carry, of what you've brought into this village. Kato jolted awake, leaping to his feet. Jalo, what madness is this? You bring strange rain, strange children, and you hide behind that baobab as if it makes you holy. The men stepped forward. Kato moved between them and his family. Leave! But greed thickens ears. Jalu lunged. Kato blocked him, the two crashing into stools and calabashes. Men seized Kato, pinning him. Nuru screamed as Jalo reached for the twins. Lightning, silent but blinding, flashed outside the hut. A booming crack followed. The baobab hauled. The roof shook, the air vibrated, the ground trembled as though something ancient had awakened. The men froze. Then, from outside came a deep, resonant voice, not human, not wind, something older than time. What is taken in greed is returned in ruin. Nuru felt the words inside her bones. A golden glow seeped through the hot walls. The men stumbled out, terror gripping them. They saw the baobab ablaze, not with fire, but with light. Its branches pulsed, leaves shimmering like molten gold. The air around it crackled. And from its trunk emerged a towering figure, neither man nor spirit fully, but a guardian made of bark and rain light. Jalo collapsed. Spirit of the tree, the figure spoke again. The children belong to the promise. The men fled screaming. Jalo tried to crawl away, but the ground tightened beneath him, roots curling around his feet, not harming, only holding. The guardian loomed over him. Greed blinds the heart, envy poisons the tongue, but mercy can yet cleanse. The roots released him. He scrambled away, dripping sweat, trembling. The light dimmed. the Baobab returned to stillness. Inside the hut, the twins gazed at the door, calm, as if they understood. Kato held Nuru as she shook silently in his arms. "We are protected," he whispered, though his own voice trembled. Word spread instantly. By sunrise, the entire village gathered at the Baobab, kneeling in reverence. Jalo, ashamed and terrified, begged forgiveness publicly. Kato looked at him long and hard before speaking. "The rains chose peace, so will I." Nuru stepped forward, the twins on her hips. "Let this be a lesson. Jealousy dries the heart faster than drought dries the land." From that day, no one in Kule questioned the miracle again. The village prospered, rains returned in their season. The baobab grew new leaves. Tumani and Muvua grew into children whose laughter carried across fields. Some said the twins were touched by the divine. Others said they were simply loved into miracle. But one thing all agreed upon: when love waits, love is repaid. When faith stands firm, blessings follow. And when rain falls on barren land, new life always comes. And so the griots tell it still. The seed that takes longest to sprout often becomes the tallest tree.
My dear ones, this is where our story ends for now. But tell me, what did your heart feel as you listened? Share your thoughts in the comment, You know Grandma loves to hear from you. And don't forget, press that subscribe button, like the story, and ring the little bell so that every time I come back here, you will be the first to join me. Until then, may your paths be safe, fruitful, and peaceful. Remember, keep your heart warm, your spirit curious and kind.